Hello and welcome back to Planet 40k. Today's video voted on by our patrons is the Primaris Apothecary. Speaking of patrons, a shout out to Matt Kuhn, our newest patron member. So you should see your name in the outros now, Matt. And he, along with the other patrons, vote every week on all of our unit polls to determine the next unit review. So on to the topic today, the Primaris Apothecary. Sets you about 4 power or 80 points. He comes within your elite options for your detachment. Looking at his keywords, he's got the chapter keyword. He's a character, so that lookout server will be in effect. He's Primaris and an infantry and of course an apothecary. Then for his stats, he's got movement 6-inch, weapon skill 3+, ballista skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 5, attacks 4, leadership 8 and a 3+ save. So very standard for a character unit, nothing at the moment jumps out. So he's got the Angels of Death, so only combat doctrines here are going to really have any effect on the unit, and possibly shock assault if you're desperate. Onto his more unique abilities, he's got combat restorative, so at the end of the movement phase, this model can heal one friendly chapter, infantry or chapter biker unit within 3 inches of it. That model regains D3 lost wounds and each model can only be healed once per turn. So this one's pretty good and it's not core units as it's infantry and biker units, so it opens up the door to characters in particular, which is handy. And overall it's quite useful as marine infantry are now 2 wounds apiece. His last ability is Narthesium, which is an aura ability. While a friendly chapter infantry or a chapter biker unit within 3 inches of the model, each time a model would lose a wound, roll a d6, and on a 6 that wound is not lost. So again, infantry and bikers, so you're also giving your characters the feel no pain roll, and that includes himself because he's within his own aura. As for weapons, the apothecary is equipped with an absolver bolt pistol, a reductor pistol, and then frag and crack grenades. So the grenades could see some play against say hordes, but it's really about your 2 pistols here. The first is the absolver bolt pistol, which is 18-inch range, pistol 1, strength 5, -1 AP and 2 damage. And then the second pistol is the reductor pistol, which is only 3-inch range, pistol 1, strength 4, -4 AP and 2 damage. So both can be shot in the shooting phase as they're only pistols. The only restriction in the main rulebook to pistols is if you fire a different weapon type, so having both the weapons as pistols won't affect you. So the longer 18-inch absolver pistol is more of a pop shot to remove a model. Then the reductor pistol is likely to be used when he's in combat, and he can remove a model that way to lessen the damage you're about to take perhaps, as he's not really a melee unit. Well, he's not really a shooter unit either, but if you get lucky you may remove 2 models per turn. That's not too bad for a support character. So that's a quick look at his range weapons. Now, if you wished, you can upgrade him to a Chief Apothecary. Now this thankfully was FAQ'd, as the main Codex showed that it didn't have the Apothecary keyword to get the upgrade. It actually shows him having the Primaris Apothecary keyword, which is different, but now this has been changed to just Apothecary. So it will cost you 15 points or 1 power level for the upgrade. This is going to give the Apothecary a new ability and access to a Warlord trait and a new relic. So the ability that he gets is where he can use his combat restoratives twice that phase, not once. So just note that you need to use it on 2 different models as stated in the combat restoratives ability. So the Warlord trait he has access to, if he's your Warlord, he's got the Selfless Healer. So each time this Warlord uses its combat restoratives ability, the model being healed regains up to 3 lost wounds instead of D3. Then not only that, each time the Warlord is selected to return a destroyed model to a unit by using the combat revival stratagem, the stratagem will cost no command points. So now it's 3 lost wounds for 2 units, which is great on say Terminators, bikes and characters. And also a free model back each turn, which we'll go over that stratagem in a little bit more detail in a moment. The relic that was offered is the Acquittal, so you swap out your absolver bolt pistol for this Acquittal, which is an 18-inch pistol 1, strength 5, -3 AP and 2 damage. And each time an attack is made with a weapon against an infantry unit, the attack always wounds on an unmodified wound roll of a 2+, and the damage characteristic is a 4. So you go from -1 AP to -3 AP with the pistol, and again against infantry it virtually becomes double their toughness, so even toughness 5 Death Guard Plague Marines being wounded on 2s is like the equivalent of having a strength 10 pistol. The 4 damage is also very good. I mean, would I take the relic? Probably not, as I don't really want my apothecary doing the damage. I should have other units in the army to be doing that without using relics, but it is nice and shiny so it may tempt you. Looking at other potential relics you might want to put on him, there's the Purgatorus, which is another pistol upgrade, and it also gives you a -3 AP, but you get 3 shots with it rather than 1. Unfortunately, it's not got the damage for. Then there's the Reliquary of Gaffalamor, which gives you an aura for enemy psychers within 18 inches to subtract 1 from their psychic test. And if they do fail a test, on a 4+, they're going to suffer D3 mortal wounds. Quite nice on a support unit that shouldn't really be dying too early. Then the final one I like the look of is the Voxa Spiritum, which is an additional 3 inches to his aura abilities, so he'll have a 6 inch for his Feel No Pain bubble, Narthesium. Okay, going on to them stratagems we mentioned, so I'm not going to really discuss any that involve fighting or shooting, as this unit is a support model, so save those stratagems for the correct units. So transhuman physiology, won't let your opponent wound him on less than a 4+, could save him if he's caught out of position. Now the stratagem you're looking for here, and maybe the reason you're actually fielding the model, is Combat Revival. It's 1 CP, or it's free to use if you're a Chief Apothecary, lets you revive a dead infantry or biker model within 3 inches, and it returns with all of its wounds. So this is a mega powerful stratagem. Now Warhammer community did slightly nerf the stratagem with the FAQs, and rightly so, as previously the stratagem could work on the ATV Invader bikes, which are 8 wounds each and 85 points. So imagine bringing one of those back every turn. It was a thing for a while. So whether you're a Chief Apothecary or not, I'd spam the stratagem to the max every turn. You get given a free command point in your command phase anyway, so even if you do have to pay for it, it's virtually free. And this will get your points back that you spent on the model. Now if you wanted more relics in the list, then you could use the Relic of the Chapter for 1 CP to add relics. Likewise, Hero of the Chapter gives you an extra Warlord trait, which might actually be worth it, as you'd want to give your Apothecary the Chief Apothecary Warlord trait, but you don't really want to be making him your Warlord. So that's all the stratagems I'd consider using on him. Now, he doesn't have an invuln save, so if you were to take a Psyker, you could cast Psychic Fortress and stick a 5+ invuln save on him if he's within 6 inches. You probably won't need this, but if you are scared of the lack of invuln, that's how you get it. So that just leaves the chapters. Now I'm pretty sure each and every chapter could find a solid use for the model. The only one I see that slightly gains less from him is Iron Hands, as they've already got a 6+ Feel No Pain save army wide due to their chapter tactics, The Flesh is Weak. But I'm sure he'd still be quite useful in the army. Now the only thing left to do here is to see how he stacks up against the Firstborn Apothecary. So this non-Primaris Apothecary is only 5 points cheaper than the Primaris Apothecary, and both for 4 power. Now he's got 1 less wound and 1 less attack too, and his weapons are a basic bolt pistol and the Astartes chainsword, which can't actually be traded unless you're talking about relics. So you lose a fair amount just for 5 points. The one good thing the basic apothecary has is if you bring company veterans in your detachment, then the apothecary doesn't take up a slot in your detachment, so it will leave room for other elite units. But I'd personally always take the Primaris model. It's only 5 points, and I'm sure with those pistols you'll kill at least one model and make those points up in no time. So tactically speaking, you want this guy lurking behind your most expensive units that are infantry or bikes. Now bikes are a little bit more trickier to heal as they move 14 inch, so keeping up with them won't work most of the time. But your characters and units with plenty of wounds such as Terminators, Blade Guard veterans, aggressors, even your Centurions will really appreciate having an apothecary around. Now make certain that he is screened, as you don't want reserves popping up on turn 2 and charging him. And if there is enough space, they'll just go for the multi-charge, just to wipe out the apothecary, as they know the value he has in the long run of the game. Also be careful putting him around pure ranged units, as they can't defend themselves as well in combat, and they won't last long. So ideally a mix of ranged and melee weapons, or more melee to defend him. Concluding the model, I think it's a pretty cool looking model, quite like a lot of the Primaris stuff nowadays. They are all very polished minis. In terms of damage output, don't expect too much from him. He is just a support character after all. In fact, he's an elite. He's not even a HQ. The pistols will do a little bit of damage. You'll get a model or two throughout the game. His real role though is that he's the medic. He's keeping your heavy hitters alive. And those heavy hitters are a premium. Usually very expensive units that take up an important battlefield slot, which can win or lose you the game. The way I look at an apothecary, I look at it like an investment. You spend 80 points on him. Now if you can get your 80 points back by either killing models with your pistols or reviving models to the value of 80 points throughout the course of the battle, then he's done his job and he's not been a waste. It's very rare that he will be a waste. In fact, he should always be making his points up. You may then ask yourself, if he does make 80 points up and I've spent 80 on him, then what's the point? Now those premium units such as Fireman Terminator Assault Squads that keep getting revived and healed up with that 6+ Feel No Pain on top of that, or your captain that you kept healing that ultimately used the Rites of Battle Aura on your premium unit to win you the game. That's how it all works so well. Not only that, your opponent is constantly having to throw a lot of firepower at them, which is being wasted. So then they try the combat approach. If your guys know how to fight, then they're asking for trouble. This is where I probably like him to be in a more melee based army such as Space Wolves, as fighting them is no joke. Blood Angels would also be quite decent, but they've got their own sanguinary priests with wings. I'd always take the Primaris version for the 5 points extra, and in fact I'd like to think that I'd always take the Chief Apothecary too for another 15. Could be healing a total of 6 wounds per turn, easily will make you 15 points back up, and that stratagem is now free. Although you do need to give him the Warlord trait, which will likely cost you 1 CP to get you an extra trait. but it's still a good deal. So rating time, I'm going to be giving the Primaris Apothecary a Planet 40k rating of 4.5 out of 5. I massively rate this guy. I don't usually give a model without an invuln or damage output anything more than a 4, but he's bringing models back that do have a damage output and invuln saves. The models brought back can cost 30, 40 or even 50 points a model, and that's per turn too. So like one single Outrider is 50 points and an Assault Centurion is 55. Anyway guys, that's my thoughts on the unit. Put yours below and tell me how you're using him. Question of the day, might be obvious or maybe I've just missed something, but why would you take the Firstborn Apothecary? Whack your answers below. Drop a like on the way out. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next one.